Hi, Shane here. You're watching Sam for God, and this is Mark. Check her out.
So hi guys, how are you doing? Carrying on from my Broadway New York reviews, which I started a couple of weeks ago. The last show that I saw on Broadway on my very short trip to NYC was Annie, the musical, and he's the playbill for it again. How very, very cool. Now this is obviously a revival, it's not a new musical, Annie's been around for a very long time. But it was actually the show that I was looking forward to the most because Annie was my favourite childhood musical film. I used to love the movie when I was young, the Disney version, the 1999 version. And I'm not saying that's the better version, I'm not saying that's better than the original, but it just happens that I grew up with that film because I was the right age when it came out. I was about 9 myself when the Disney version of Annie came out, so I used to love it and I used to play it every weekend and watch it all the time, and I just loved it. And when I saw that it was on Broadway when I was going to be in New York, I thought I definitely need to go and see this because, I mean, what better city to see Annie in? Annie is actually set in New York City, so to see the show in New York City on Broadway in my mind was going to be fantastic, and I was like, I definitely need to see this because of that. Now, I'd seen Annie the musical done before once professionally. It was a touring company, a touring version of it in the UK a couple of years ago. But because it was a touring show and it was quite a small production, it wasn't a big special show or kind of stage production that I wanted Annie to be. And I didn't really expect much of it anyway because I knew there was going to be a touring production and I just wanted to see it live, and it was okay, but it wasn't amazing. But I had really high expectations of this, Broadway revival of Annie because, I mean, it's a Broadway show and it's Annie, and Annie's a famous American show that's been around for a long time, so I thought it was going to be incredible. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd heard pretty average reviews about it, and I know that it didn't win anything. I don't think it won any Tonys as far as I know. So I knew that it hadn't been received that well, but I still had high hopes for it. And I don't really know how to say it, but I was pretty disappointed with it. That's not to say I didn't like it, I actually enjoyed it a lot. I just, I thought it was going to be better than it actually ended up being. And I'll explain that in a second. I'll explain why I didn't like it that much. And I'll also point out the good things that I liked about it, because it was by no means a bad show. I did enjoy some of it, it's just, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Right, so there's two girls rotating in the role of Annie, and the night that we saw the show, the role of Annie was played by a girl called Sadie Sink, and apparently she was in the original cast as well. She was one of the orphans, and now she's been promoted to Annie, which I think is great. Yeah, Sadie was great. She had a great voice, a really good voice, a very typical voice that you want Annie to have. Her acting was good, she was pretty cute and cheeky in most of the scenes. She looked really confident on stage. I really liked her relationship with Mr. Warbucks, who I'm going to talk about later. She definitely did come across as the leader of the orphans, which was good. And yeah, I mean, she was a good standard Annie. I thought she was pretty good. And I think she's only been doing the part like full-time. Well, not full-time, but she's only been lead Annie for the past few months, so yeah, I really enjoyed her performance. She was great. The next person I have to talk about is Mr. Warbucks, and unfortunately, the night that we went, the lead guy that plays Oliver Warbucks was off, so we actually had a guy called Merwin Ford playing the role of Oliver Warbucks. He's usually played by Anthony Warlow, and apparently he's been doing really good, so I was a bit gutted that he wasn't on, but to be honest, I didn't really care because Merwin Ford was actually really, really good as Mr. Warbucks. He was one of the stronger links in the whole show. I mean, character-wise, I think he got it completely right. He really showed Warbucks' quite complex character, because I don't think Oliver Warbucks is an easy character. I mean, you have to show him as being this kind of arrogant millionaire businessman who doesn't really care about anything apart from money, and then you have to gradually show his soft side, and I think Merwin did a great job. Like I said before, his relationship with Annie, who was played by Sadie, was also very nice to watch, considering, I mean, Merwin is an understudy, and I'm guessing he's not been on as much as the lead Warbucks. I really enjoyed their chemistry, him and Annie. The scenes that they were in together was really cute to watch, really. Then we've got Miss Hannigan, and Miss Hannigan was played by an actress called Faith Prince, and apparently she's only just recently joined the cast as well. I thought Faith Prince was really good. Again, for me, she was one of the better actors in the show. I mean, she definitely looked the part. She was really funny. Her facial expressions were brilliant. Exactly what you'd expect from Miss Hannigan, really. The only thing I didn't like too much about Miss Hannigan / Faith was that she did seem to sometimes be playing it just for the laughs. And I'm not usually a big fan of that. I don't like it when people just do it for the laughs. I want people to be in character all the time and not just do things because they know it's going to get a laugh. But apart from that, she was good. Her voice was pretty good as well. Overall, I thought she was she gave a pretty solid performance as Miss Hannigan. Then we've got Grace. Now, Grace was played by a girl called Jenny Barber. She was the one that I had, I think, the most problem with. I just didn't like the way she played Grace. I'm going to be honest, I just didn't think she was playing it the right way, I guess. But of course, theatre's subjective, so that could have just been my opinion. I found her way too harsh and cold as Grace. And actually, if you've watched Happy Madison Dude's review as well, he mentioned the same thing, that he thought she was a bit too cold. And I don't know, I think that just kind of ruined the character of Grace for me. I mean, I don't really have anyone to compare her to apart from the actress that plays Grace in the Disney film version of Annie. And the Grace in the Disney film is completely different, her character. She's so warm, she's so motherly, she's literally like a mother figure for Annie, and the way Jenny played her was not like that at all. I don't know, I mean, I've always thought of Grace's character as this motherly figure, this very approachable figure that you don't feel scared to go to and talk to, but Jenny just seemed to be a bit cold and not what you'd expect a motherly kind of nice figure to be like. I mean, she did seem to be trying, and in some parts it really was obvious that she was trying to be all like nice and caring, but it just didn't really work. So I'm afraid I wasn't a big fan of her portrayal of Grace, although she did have an amazing voice, I'll give her that. It's just her facial expressions were all wrong for the character of Grace in my opinion. And also I don't want to be too harsh because that may have just been what the director told her to play it like. I mean, I don't know, I mean she may have just done what she's been taught to do, so I really don't know and I don't want to be harsh. And my mum actually liked her, so it's completely a matter of opinion. She just wasn't to my taste. Right, other characters I need to talk about. Rooster. Rooster was played by a guy called Clark Thorell, and I didn't like him. I mean, he looked alright for the part, but there was just so much more that he could have done with the character, and he seemed to be lacking in something, and I don't really know what, but I just felt very underwhelmed by his performance. I'm sorry, I didn't really like him. Lily St. Regis was great though. She was always in character, she was very funny, and she was played by J. Elaine Marcus. I really liked her. The orphans were good as well. I mean, I don't know, they were good. I can't say too much about them because I don't think they were amazing, but they did work pretty well together, and like some of the songs like It's a Hard Knock Life or You'll Never Fully Dress Without a Smile, they're some of my favourite songs in Annie and some of my favourite songs of all time actually in musical theatre. And they did a good job. It didn't impress me that much, but it was good. I enjoyed watching them do their thing, and you know, they're all talented little kids, so yeah, I can't really say anything bad about them. So yeah, overall the cast was good. It wasn't anything special. There weren't any standouts really. Nobody in the cast made me go, wow, you're amazing. But it was an overall good cast. Right, so now I'm going to say the few things that I didn't like too much about the show. Firstly, I think there was a big problem with the orchestra. The orchestra kept drowning the vocals. Literally, it was so difficult to hear some of the actors on stage, especially the kids. I mean, Annie had a great voice, Sadie had an amazing voice, but sometimes you couldn't really hear her because of how loud the orchestra was. And I think that's a big problem that should have been sorted out by now. I mean, Annie's been open on Broadway for quite a while, and I was sat on the front row, so I obviously expected to be able to hear them well, and I didn't. And it wasn't even just Annie either. A lot of the orphans you couldn't hear, or even some of the adult cast was quite difficult to hear them. So yeah, I didn't really understand why they hadn't kind of tried to sort that out. The orchestra did sound amazing though, that's another good point. They sounded amazing. I love the songs in Annie, and it was so nice to hear it live with a great orchestra and a great band. Another thing that I didn't like was the choreography. My god, the choreography was so underwhelming, so boring even. I don't want to be too harsh, but it just wasn't exciting enough. Scenes like I Think I'm Gonna Like It Here, they're meant to be big ensemble scenes with loads of amazing dancing going on, loads of great choreography, and I was expecting that because I've seen the film and I know the potential for it to be like a great big dancing sequence, but they did hardly anything with those scenes. I mean, there was a bit of dancing going on, but it was all very basic, average dancing, and it just wasn't as exciting and busy and fun as I wanted it to be. Even NYC, like the song, they could have done so much more with it, and yet it was so boring choreography-wise, and also just in general. I mean, it felt so empty. Like you were watching something, a very basic, boring school production of Annie, and I feel horrible for saying that, but it's true. The sets were good though. The sets were pretty good for the most part. Nothing unique, nothing overly amazing, but they were good. I mean, especially like the Christmas scene at Mr. Warburg's house, that was pretty good. So yeah, that's another good point. I don't want to be too bad in my review all the time. But yeah, I think overall it was a very average production. I personally wouldn't go and see it again, and I can understand completely why it's closing. It just wasn't what it could have been. It's one of those things where you see a show and you know that it's got the potential to be amazing, and yet it wasn't. Like, and that's what made me annoyed about it, because I know that it could have been much more good and visually appealing than it was, and I was just disappointed with it for the most part. But that's not to say I didn't enjoy my night. I really did enjoy it, and I'm glad that I went to see it because, like I said, I mean, Annie is my childhood favourite musical, and it was great to see it live on Broadway. I mean, in New York, where it's actually set. I did have a good night. I was happy I saw it, but like I said, it wasn't what I wanted it to be, and yeah, I don't know, I can't say I recommend it to people because it wasn't that good. So only go and see it if you really like Annie, because if you do love Annie, then it's a nice little sweet production that you can just go and enjoy and listen to the good songs and all that. But as a show, as a Broadway show, it's not that good. So merchandise-wise, I did buy a couple of things, which in hindsight I kind of wish I hadn't, but I got the programme, the official programme, which you see. I got it before the show started because I had high expectations, and I guess that's why I just wanted to have it. But to be honest, it is a really good programme, it really is. It's got the original cast in it, the original Annie as well, you can see in the back, who obviously I didn't see her, I saw Sadie Sink. And Sadie Sink was amazing, but you know, it doesn't really, I wished it had more pictures of the actual cast that I saw in the programme. It's still a good programme though, really good quality, and yeah. Oh, this is actually reminding me of something. Look, this dog. The dog was a star. It was so nice to see him on stage. He was one of the highlights for me, actually. And I need to give you his name because he was a very talented dog. Going back to my playbill now, because this is something really funny that I just want to show you. The dog who played Sandy, Annie's dog in the show, was played by a dog called Sunny. And you can actually see a picture, a headshot of Sunny in this playbill with the rest of the cast. I think that's so cute and so funny. Literally, when I opened the playbill and I saw the picture of this dog, I started laughing in the theatre because I was like, I can't believe they've put a picture of the dog in there. But I think it's so good, it's so cute, and it's so respectful to the dog, to the very talented dog. Yeah, Sunny was great. I liked his performance. He gets a 10 stars from me. Anyway, back to the merchandise. I also got a Annie keyring, which you can't really see because I haven't actually opened it yet. Oh, actually, I'm going to do it now. Why not open it here on camera? Because I do things for you because I'm a nice person. There you go. Cute little Annie keyring thing. I like this, it's cute. I'm glad I purchased this, to be honest. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the show. I didn't say the story of the show, I know, I'm sorry. I just assumed that everybody knows about it, but if you don't, just go and Google it. It is a very well-known story, a very well-known musical, so I'm guessing you all know about it, but I'm just going to say it very briefly now just because I don't want people to get annoyed at me. It's basically about a group of orphans living in an orphanage, and Miss Hannigan is the owner of that orphanage. And there's this guy called Oliver Warbucks. He's a millionaire, or actually he's a billionaire. He sent his secretary, Grace, to come to this orphanage and ask one of the orphans to go and live with him for a couple of weeks, Christmas, as a publicity stunt to make him look better and more human. And that's pretty much all I can say about the story. But you'll probably already know what happens anyway, because like I said, it is a very famous musical. But yeah, as always guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!